Hello, everyone. I'm the Reverend Julianne Lepp. It is a pleasure to be with you this evening. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Eau Claire Christmas service. This is our annual Christmas Eve service. It is a joy to be with you and to celebrate this evening with you. We are continuing to do virtual services through May of 2021 and plan to have an online service in the future. This year, we are celebrating in a way that we have no homemade cookies or hot chocolate after service, no warm hugs or handshakes except for those that we might have in our houses, no towering tree in our sanctuary, no manger scene with little ones. This year, we must make Christmas out of the materials at hand. But that does not mean that we are alone. We are, in fact, gathered here in a time, coronavirus or not. I have my candle lit, and I hope that you will also light your candles in your houses. You know, we are here to bear witness that community endures. Even when the Grinch has hijacked Christmas, we are here for each other because of the memory of Christmas Eve's past and the promise of Christmas Eves that shall be in the years to come. This one is different and special, but it does not stand alone, just as we do not stand alone. It is part of the sequence and cycling of years, and we remember and create anew. The heart-lifting illumination of Christmas Eve. We find ways to make music and ways to make meaning, ways to make merry, and ways to make magic together while apart, so that we don't needlessly risk one another's lives and add to the burdens of our overwhelmed healthcare systems. Christmas Eve has always been about the birth of love that overcomes loneliness and oppression both, about the light of hope in the midnight of despair, about ancient promises that finally and unexpectedly come to be, and a song of peace in a world of violence and strife. Christmas Eve is, as always, a chance to double down on a strange and wonderful vision that we all seem to have tucked away somewhere in our practical workaday hearts, that this life that we live, in this world that we share, that it could suddenly bloom into peace on earth and goodwill to all people, now on this night or any time. That we might always remember that somewhere a child is being born, which means without a doubt that this is a holy night. Come, my dears, let us kindle our lights. Let us hold them aloft despite the times that we are apart, and pass them from heart to heart, if not hand to hand. Let us lift our voices in the familiar songs of rejoicing, and even now our flames brighten and our songs arise. Come, let us worship together.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. My name is David Hirsch. I'm the board president this year. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a religious community who commit ourselves to diversity. We hope to nourish human differences, those of gender, race, age, ability, sexual orientation, political views, culture, class, and religious belief. Welcome to all who treasure freedom of conscience in the search for truth. We promise to do our best to provide you a spiritual home. We extend a special welcome to our visitors today. We hope that you will follow our UUC Facebook page and stay tuned for other events such as Wonderful Wednesdays and Sunday morning meditations. There are religious exploration classes for adults and small groups for support and interests like book club. Also, families can follow our UUC Religious Exploration Facebook page. There are religious exploration classes for 4K through 9th grade and youth group every Wednesday online from middle school and high school students. We're so happy you joined us today.
Hi, I'm Amy Johnson, RE coordinator. This is my husband, Matt, and my son,
Sam Johnson.
Tonight, we light the Advent candle wreath.
We light the candle of heart. Hope.
For that which is best in us to rise and enliven our souls and our relationships.
The second candle we light for peace.
For the courage to soften what is rigid in our hearts, to find the soft spot and stay with it.
We light the third candle into the normal name of joy.
Joy in the shape of gratitude for all that is our life, and joy in expectation of the world that we are building and creating with one another.
The last candle lights.
The last candle, yeah.
The last candle is lit on
In
the name of love. Excuse me.
as the creating force in our lives.
And finally, we light the central candle.
The light that shines in the darkness with the full power of our faith.
We know, says Reverend Bill Sinkford, how real the brokenness of the world is, but we will not give brokenness the last word. May this light bear our hopes, as well as our faith in love, in goodness, in compassion, in justice. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness shall not overpower it.
Tonight, we celebrate the miracle of each child that is born. Tonight, we celebrate the hope in loving our neighbors as ourselves and the joy that is generosity. Let this flame remind us that it is never too late to turn our hearts toward love. And now, a story for all ages, A Walmart Christmas by Chip Rausch. Attention, shoppers, we bring you good tidings of great joy. A baby has just been born in the bathroom at the front of the store. If you'd like to purchase a gift for this new family, our infant supplies are in aisles 17 and 18. There is a 10% discount on diapers if you buy a case. Thank you for shopping at Walmart. At first, I didn't believe the announcement. In fact, I thought it a bit crass and disrespectful. I heard others around me dismissing it. Blatant manipulation, one person said, while others just laughed it off. But I couldn't let it go. Something inside me told me it was real. And furthermore, that this child was somehow special. Once I was checked out, I did not buy a case of diapers. I took a detour past the bathrooms where the birth had supposedly taken place. There was a small pile of diaper boxes and some toys and clothes and formula on the bench outside. The store's security guard was standing watch over the whole process, and he said I could go in. Nobody was inside except the new family. He said he'd watch my cart. I make it a point never to go into store bathrooms. The ugly walls, the feeble attempt to cheer it up with a dying flower, the grime that remained no matter how often an employee signed their initials on the cleanup sheet on the door. It's just too depressing. This bathroom was no better, but somehow it didn't feel as bad as I expected. The mother was lying on the floor, holding her sleeping baby amid a nest of new fleece blankets. A man, the father, was offering her a drink from a cup with the store's logo on it. I excused myself for interrupting them, but they insisted it was okay. A few people had already come and gone, and each had been quite kind, they reported. Her name was Maria. The man's name was Joe. They were still searching for a name for their new boy. They hadn't expected him quite so soon. They were on their way back to Phoenix, they said. It seemed they were eager to explain why they weren't in a hospital. Even though they were both US citizens, they were Hispanic, and they'd been harassed and accused of being illegal immigrants many times. After Maria was surrounded and threatened by a group of men, they packed their things and moved to Colorado, but there was little work there. So when Maria got pregnant, they decided to risk it and returned to her family in Arizona. They had already used all their savings, so they couldn't afford hotel rooms. They'd been living in their van for the trip south. When Maria began her labor, Joe had gotten off at the very first exit, and she'd insisted on coming into the store for the delivery. As they finished their story, 3 young men came bursting into the bathroom. They were quite excited and kept exclaiming how special this baby was and how honored they were to attend his birth. Maria finally got them to calm down, and they explained they'd received text messages on their smartphones explaining that an uncommon birth was happening beneath the giant smiley face at the exit. None of the 3 knew who had sent the text message, but they were all elated to have trusted their instincts and gone in search of the babe. One of them bragged that he was the first to arrive because he'd been so resourceful and asked a police officer about the smiley face. At this, Joe became quite agitated. He demanded to know how much the man had said. Had he mentioned the baby? The man said no, he didn't want to seem too weird. He told the policewoman that he was searching for his girlfriend, that she'd given him the landmark. Joe relaxed and explained that he and Maria had been rousted from a roadside rest the night before. They'd just been trying to get a few hours of sleep, but the highway patrolman had forced them to leave. There was a 4-hour maximum for parking at the rest stop. When Joe had protested, and explained about the baby, it just made things worse. The patrolmen had accused them of being Mexicans, trying to deliver an anchor baby in the United States. So their brat, he used other terms that Joe would not repeat, would get the benefits of citizenship. They showed the officer their driver's licenses, but he said they must be fakes. The cop threatened to arrest them and call Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Maria talked him out of it, but they were still wary of the authorities. The young men were strangely moved to tears by this story, and they vowed to go back out into the parking lot and tell any police that did show up that it was a hoax. They encouraged Maria and Joe to get the baby into the van as soon as possible and escape. As they left, each man knelt down beside Maria and handed her a gift to help raise the child. The first gave her a small collection of gold coins, each worth several $100s, which they could easily trade. The second gave her his smartphone and explained that he would continue paying for its internet and telephone service for the next 8 years. The child would have the world at his fingertips. The last man offered a plastic folder, which he said contained a paid-up health insurance policy with a prescription benefit. Maria began to cry at this gift, and Joe fell to his knees to embrace the man. A few moments later, I enlisted the help of the security guard to carry the gifts out to their van. Then I returned to carry the baby as Joe helped Maria make her way out. She got herself situated in their makeshift bed in the back, and I handed the baby to her. Her face was shining with gratitude and hope as she thanked me for all I'd done. When I protested that I'd done very little, she replied, "So many people have helped us today. So many have said that our baby is special. We will raise him to know that all people are special, and we'll dedicate our lives to helping others, just as we have been helped today. If you want to do something more, please go out and help others. Please pass this gift of love along." And so I do. And so I tell you now, if you want to honor this miraculous birth and this family's miraculous message, do something good in their name. Treat the next person you meet as if she or he was a miracle, and the next, and the next. You are a miracle. We are all miracles. Let's treat each other as if we recognize that truth. So may we be.
Hi everyone, it's Stephanie Turner here. I'm reading Christmas is Subversive by Kendall R. Gibbons. One of the great things about Christmas is that it is a sturdy holiday. Christmas doesn't wimp out when times are hard. It comes anyway, even if there are hardly any presents, even when there isn't much food to make a feast with, even if you're sad, even if the world around you is at war, even if you are living in fear and danger and oppression, Christmas still comes. And when it comes, Christmas is subversive. Christmas, with its story of an unwed mother and a doubtful father, with its legend of a helpless baby born in a stable who was worshipped by some of the wisest, richest men in the world, with its tale of the child pursued by the deadly wrath of kings who escaped as a refuge to a foreign land far from home. Christmas with its ancient enduring summons of peace on earth, goodwill to all people everywhere. You can't stop a day like that with a little hardship, or greed, or injustice. It will show up anyway, shining the light of the midnight star into the darkest places of our collective lives. Do not underestimate the power of the manger and the hope it holds. The Christmas song of the angels is not as innocent as it sounds. It has turned the world upside down before now. It still can.
Good evening. I'm Phil Swanhorst, and I will be reading from the book of Luke, chapter 2, verses 1 through 20 tonight. In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David, which was called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child. And she gave birth to her firstborn son and wrapped him in bands of cloth and laid him in a manger because there was no place for them in the inn. In that region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, whose name is Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory be to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among all those whom he favors." When the angels had left and gone back into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what they had been told them about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words, and she pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told to them.
Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me into merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. That's the way the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new year, lads and lasses, fa la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la.
Jesse, you're not muted. I mean, you're muted.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, let's try this again. My name is Jessie Peterson, and I love Christmas music. All kinds. The choral carols that King's College Choir in Cambridge sang this morning. I love the darker, mysterious child ballads that connect to older traditions. I love the crooner tunes that Bing and Rosemary sing, and the oddball, so bad they're good Christmas songs. I will admit, I own a Tiny Tim Christmas album. Most years, I have a pretty strict rule for myself. I am not allowed to listen to Christmas CDs until after Thanksgiving dinner has been eaten. Otherwise, I would listen to them all year long, and odds are my husband would go a little nutty. This year being what it is, I may have cheated slightly on my rule. I had several holiday CDs that I bought after Christmas last year and hadn't had an opportunity to listen to. So I fudged a little and listened to them early. One was a great album in Spanish by Gabby Moreno. Some familiar songs like Santa la Noche, which is O Holy Night. O Pueblecillo de Belén, O Little Town of Bethlehem. And the tune that I bought the CD for, Hacia Belén va una burra rin rin. It's a peppy little Spanish carol with a burro bringing chocolate to Bethlehem. And in this particular version, there are some very sassy rats who steal the baby Jesus's swaddling clothes. I also was looking forward to listening to a new Mavericks Christmas CD and a Judy Collins Christmas CD full of winter, but not quite Christmas songs. And listening to that one made me think of a different Judy Collins song that is not on her Christmas album, not holiday oriented, but it's certainly pertinent to the year that we are in. It's about the time of year that we are experiencing, a time of finding hope and renewal, of turning back towards the light. And I'm going to share some of the lyrics with you. It's called The Fallow Way. Words and music by Judy Collins. I'll learn to love the fallow way when winter draws the valley down and stills the rivers in their storm.
Looks like we might have lost connection with Jesse, so we'll.
And free oceans of I'll learn to love their quietness, while deep beneath the glistening snow, the black earth dreams of violets. I'll learn to love the fallow time. I'll learn to love the fallow way and gather in the patient fruits. And after autumn's blaze and burn, I'll know the feel of wade at the ice in frozen ponds, and slumbering in winter's folds, have dreams of great love blossoming, after
Hello, friends. I am back again here. I think, Kurt, can you spotlight me? I think I spotlighted someone else. I apologize.
Nope, you are spotlighted.
Oh, I am spotlighted. Oh, wonderful. Okay. So, so friends, I am here with you, and this is the Christmas on Zoom. We, you know, we do the best we can, but sometimes our connections aren't always there. So we'll put a little extra light out there for Jessie and her her Christmas music. This is a prayer for Christmas Eve, and as we can see, doing services apart from one another is a challenge sometimes, but we can still make magic. And I want you to put in your heart that sense of wonder that when you're little, maybe that you looked up through the Christmas tree lights, or maybe when you heard that first tune on the radio and you knew that it was that time of year, or the first snow, that sense of wonder and magic. Divine mystery, whose human form and human face and lively justice-seeking human spirit we celebrate this night. Holy force we call by many names, and this night Emmanuel. Come into our hearts, come into our imagination. O come, Emmanuel. O little town of Bethlehem, hold us as we hold strangers, family, friends, and we ourselves in moments of fears that this season does not banish. Fear that this may be our last Christmas with a certain beloved someone. Fear that the year to come holds difficulties that we can't overcome. Fear that disappointment might be revealed beneath the tree. Fear that sobriety might be fleeting, fragile. Fear that the fear and hatred abroad in our country and in our world will deepen. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. Hold us as we hold strangers and friends, and as we hold ourselves in moments that this season crystallizes and magnifies. Hope that love will be born tonight in ways and places and form beyond imagining. Hope that joy will be unwrapped on the morrow. Hope that reconciliation is possible. Hope that justice will prevail. Hope that peace is even now gathering strength. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. Sit with us, move among us, and ponder with us this age-old folly, or is it ageless wisdom, of this festival and light and song, now in this deep darkness of the year, in the presence of so much strife, this widening gaps of income and COVID-19 and privilege of all kinds, as we move daily between rage and grief at signs that our hearts are hardened and that we are weary. But we know that Black lives matter, that refugee lives matter, that trans lives matter, all lives and lived at the margins and beyond the margins, hidden from closed eyes matter. Why these songs of happy cheer? Move upon us and nudge our hearts upward. Draw our eyes skyward, that we might remember awe and stare into the infinity. See that blazing, twinkling star of belief, and notice all that can be seen when a light shines in the darkness. Gestures of shy love, acts of courage, tendrils of change, dawning understanding, and steadfast resolve. Into the earth it gave a great light. Dwell in our hearts, sowing love, watering love, and sowing it again until we know ourselves to love and to be loved. Even more until we know ourselves to be love. Even our lungs, that we might release each held breath and whisper, shout, proclaim that love is ours, that it is us. Love forever, ceasing never. Guide us towards the manger, toward the birthplace of justice and peace and joy, and in our time in the world, in our classrooms, our lecture halls, in our protest, our demonstrations and shelters, legislatures, please, our legislatures, hospital rooms and courtrooms and public squares, barracks, kitchen tables. Unlikely all and holy every one, we too with gladness thither bend our footsteps. Silent night, holy night, help us to recognize, to be bearers of truth and light, messengers of miracles, infants and sages, rappers and cartoonists, activists and teachers, Grinches and Scrooges, Tiny Tims and Linuses, scientists and poets, neighbors and estranged family, reluctant allies and sometimes enemies, unlikely all, but holy every one. Round yon virgin, mother and child, heavenly host, sing Alleluia. Call us to witness and witness to love and justice, peace and joy whenever, wherever, however they arrive. Open our mouths that we might proclaim love and justice, peace and joy to those with waiting hearts, thirsty souls, those whose ears are closed, those whose souls must be cracked open. Repeat the sounding joy as far as earth is sound. Those and all the many prayers of our hearts we offer now into this space, this light. Silence made sacred by our gathering and our intention. These are the prayers that I ask for Christmas. Amen and blessed be. Each year, our congregation, we set aside our giving during our special holiday services to help others. And we have something called the Minister's Discretionary Fund. With these monies, the minister, myself, I can respond to financial needs among members and friends in the wider local communities. Although this fund is not huge, when the gifts are administered, it can be modest, but it can make a huge difference. It can be a house payment, car payment, can mean food on the table, and it extends the love and light outside of our own walls. It's one small way for our congregation to show that love is the spirit of our church. In this season of gift giving, I ask that you consider donating to the Minister's Discretionary Fund. You can donate online, or you can also text to give at 84321. Tonight, among all nights, I wish for you light, and I hope you will enjoy this beautiful song that our choir has put together, and that was put together by David Hirsch. And hear that cry for hope, cry for peace, and that cry for joy. The offering will now be given and so very gratefully received. Thank you.
Please join me at home with extinguishing your chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. The closing words are by Tom Shade. Night has fallen. Stars beckon in an indigo and velvet sky. Somewhere, a baby is being born. Tonight, the world lazes in a love of goodness, while glories stream from heaven afar. God is meeting us tonight where we are. So do not be afraid and be of good cheer. We wish you, each and all, very Merry Christmas. The hopes and fears of all the years have been met. So rest beside the winding road and hear the angels sing. For those of you watching from our Facebook live stream, I'm so glad you joined us today. If you'd like to get information on how to join services in Zoom, you can fill out the visitor link in the Facebook comments. Those attending in Zoom, we will have carols and a candlelit closing to a wonderful Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas.